Frank, how are you, bud?
Good, how about yourself?
Oh, good. Can you hear me? I got terrible service where I'm at.
I can hear you.
Good. I forgot to post it this today, so this might be us today, which is
Oh,
good. 'Cause I
really?
need a little break. Need a little break. How are things in your head?
Just not that long. So, um, they released an account-based, um,
Oh, you were just on that call. Me too.
yeah.
What'd you think?
Well, so, um, one area where I fuck up is um, going between platforms and everything else. Yeah, it is. I'm 55. I'm a boomer, damn near boomer, 5 years from being a boomer really. But it's not like tech is my thing. So I think and my goal is just to, make 400,000 a year roughly. So it's
Yeah,
like if I just do everything in Loxo with that, simplify things and just make it so yeah, it's simpler and I'm just able to execute. I think that I think that Loxo is um when they just got like 115 million bucks, and Tom and I were talking, Alessio, and he was like going, "Well, dude," and I was like, "I thought they were gonna develop it," and he was like, "They might, but it wasn't a VC that gave them the money; it was a private equity firm." So he goes, "They might not do anything," which is very true. If you look at Bullhorn, Bullhorn was bought by a private equity firm about I don't know 20 years ago,
and
and
then
Bullhorn looked
Bullhorn,
exactly.
they ruin it. They ruin it, right?
Oh my God, they haven't done anything. We used Bullhorn at my old agency, and then like they never did anything. They were never iterating on it. And finally we just left it because it was just so horrible. And if you can log in today, it looks the exact same as it did 15 years ago. It's like, oh my God,
Yeah,
it's just horrible.
that was the
Uh,
same thing with Top Echelon too, and that's why I left. But like Lux, you're right. Like what Loxo just built out here is kind of what I was working on in the background with N8N agents to do it for me. And I'm like, of course they would launch it right as I'm almost done, you know. But I do like it. I told Matt to do this like 2 years ago. I'm like, he just didn't listen. I think the next thing he listened and the split network, he could dominate Top Echelon and all the split networks, in my opinion.
oh yeah, I didn't even think
Yeah.
about split network. It should do that.
I told Matt 3 years ago on the call, I said, Matt, we should take basically the Top Echelon split network, throw it on top of here. You know how many people would join? You
Yeah,
know what I mean?
yeah.
I think a ton of
Well,
people would join.
you
What are they
love that.
doing, You guys mind me asking what they're launching?
It's called account-based prospecting. Basically, MPCs going out inside of Loxo, which is pretty cool. Like they did a great job. Did any of you guys watch it? Joe, did you watch that?
No, no. What is it? Sorry, I just hopped in here. What is it
It
that
was
you guys are talking about?
Loxo had an account-based prospecting call. Basically, they now have MPC system inside of Loxo, which is
So,
huge for me.
Was this a webinar or something that they recently put on, or?
Yeah, Brent was on it too.
yeah, just it was from 8 to 9 this morning. Basically, this account-based prospecting tool is the answer to a LinkedIn Sales Navigator. And they are like, okay, you can get rid of Sales Navigator with this. And they're also hoping that people get rid of Hollow, and like do all of the sequencing within Loxo, which it's a version one, so it's not very robust yet. But before you hop on, I was showing Dom, and I think there's value to not having to swap between systems because I'm not a digital native. It's like that isn't super simple for me. So just having everything in there, could make my life easier. And it's I'm not. All I want to do is just have an easy way to reach out to 10 people every day, 10 new people every day, and get them going. And there's going to be plenty of consistent business. Because I'm still in the, I want to send a submittal a day, and then just, then I'll get my 2 deals a month. But not much I've got rules on. But if I don't have rules on, it's like I'm starving. So it's, I mentioned that he told Loxo to do a split network, which I would absolutely love if they did, just have the opportunity to pick up a job if I don't have a job on and be like, okay, here we go. Cool. I got 5 subs this week. And
Well, think about
it. But
Brett, I love it. And think about this. Like, okay, you got a candidate in your system. You should be able to have an option to say, if they have a split network, you should have an option to say, yes, I want him to be available. So that will basically take his profile and match it up to another job. And then that recruiter could request it from you. Brent, can I use this candidate? Yes. Okay, release. AI. And we're all making money faster. I told Matt 3 years ago to do this. He finally started doing this MPC thing. And it's like, okay, you better hurry up because somebody else is going to do it. But Loxo's got a pretty good, I liked what they did today.
Yeah.
But we'll see how it works. Like,
for MPC, I don't know if I'd use Loxo. I created a prompt that polls like companies that this person's going to be a fit for, 10 companies, and tells me the challenges that they're doing in what challenges they're having. And what I do is I take that and put that like in the opening email about how this person's going to answer those challenges, and then I talk about some bullet points about why this person's great. And I just started this actually yesterday with a prompt, and I'm hoping it's good. You're bringing value in the MPC, whereas I think that if you just MPC out of Loxo and sent it to 50 companies, you wouldn't be able to state why you think that is going to help the company. For instance, like I was meeting this person, they're like an AI god from Microsoft, moving to an older consulting firm, and the angle was this will keep this person's going to keep you up to date with the newer AI consulting firms. So things. And I don't know if Loxo would, if you could really get that specific with them.
you can go in there and change it for each person, but like, that's same for me, Brent. Like, I'm not going to go and blast out like the head of worldwide logistics at Amazon AWS. You can't. First off, like the smaller companies can't afford them. So even if they responded and they said, yeah, I'd love to meet them, there's a waste of a call right there, right? So you're wasting time. Because like you can't pay this guy 500K. So why even? Of course you're going to love them. But yeah, that's my only concern with that, and I think that's why the thing that I'm building now is still going to be better than this. But I'm glad they put it in there for some of my recruiters and other recruiters that are, if they utilize it properly, you can go in there and change the messaging though for each time you send it out. That's what I was thinking about doing. Just trying it.
So this is live, this new Loxo MPC feature?
Yeah, you have to, Brian, what's the account you have to have? I mean, I have the,
you need Lazio Source, which is
Yeah.
their Cadillac line, and it's about $260, I think, if you go monthly, or $280 if you go annual, or excuse me, vice versa. $260 or $280. I'm in at $215 just because my pricing is going to be grandfathered in, and I've got about 2 weeks to determine if it's worth it, and I want to stay with Loxo because you've been. It's after this point, like I kind of think that Loxo was a jack of all trades and not good at any of them. Where just recently it seems like they're really making they're improving their product. So it's like I was going to just use the free version, and Sales Nav and Apollo on top of it, but now I'm thinking about going more towards Loxo just because it does seem like they're doing a better job.
Joe, I'll share my screen and show you.
Yeah, sure, I'd appreciate
it. So this is kind of what they just showed us today. I think. So account-based prospecting, you can go right in here now, find the companies. Let's say you want to find 50 to 201 United States, Let's go. Let's see if they're the same titles. Yeah. Okay. And let's say founded 10 years ago with a revenue of 50 to 500. No companies found. No way. I'm pulling that off. Wow. So maybe it doesn't work good for my industry. Let's see.
Hmm.
No way. Oh, okay.
There you
Yeah.
go.
There we go. Let's see if there are companies that I would target. There's a few on here that I would target. Yeah. But now I can take this right here.
Yeah.
Boom. Boom. And find decision makers. The thing that I wanted to ask him, Brent, on the call was like, all right, well, if you take a company like DSV, how are you going to find decision makers specifically of this division, right? They're not. They're just going to pull in everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was going to say how, find decision makers is pretty broad, right? Are they going to give you people ops and director of people, or are they going to give you the head of sales, right? Like,
Well, let's try one. Let's see.
If you go, yeah, and then if you click find decision makers and open it up, and then you can refine it farther.
hmm,
So up top, there's like, you can hit title, location, seniority.
So you got decision makers, all employees. Let's go C-level.
okay.
Let's go VP. Let's see what that does. 28.
And then I guess
Yeah.
title, yeah.
So sales.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's like, let's say VP of sales.
I wish you could just put like sales as a general,
I know. That's
right?
us. And then because you got the seniority level function over there, like why would they
Yeah, just
not
give me
have that?
anybody that's correlated to sales at that level.
Maybe
And
you
I
can put it back on the other page. On
on the other one,
the Boolean up top on the other page on the left side up top. We're just put sales then, and then see if that. We'll see if it changes the company search too. Looks like Dom is frozen.
Pros, yeah. Hmm. See if he bounces back here.
Yeah.
I am curious, I guess, while we wait for him to potentially return. You had said a second ago or a couple minutes ago, you had said if I could do a submission a day, that means that I can make two placements a month.
Yeah.
I'm assuming you backed it. Like, I'd be curious, is there a general like benchmark for conversions? Oh, here Dom's back. We could table that for later. I don't want to disrupt this part.
sorry, I'm frozen, guys. Where I'm at right now, internet.
No, you're good.
No, go ahead. I want to hear a joke because my computer's frozen where I'm at.
So I would say,
Okay.
oh, good. The Godfather joined me. This is where I got it from. If you're like doing high quality work, I would say that you can figure a placement about every 5 to 7 subs roughly, and that's not an exaggeration, But if you're working at like a larger agency where they throw more shit against the wall, it's probably like 1 out of every 10 subs is a placement.
Yeah, I would say our submission to interview ratio is probably above 90%. So 90% plus of candidates that we submit are getting first round phone interviews. But I'm finding that there is like a big drop off between that and usually that's a screening with a recruiter of some sort on our client side, and then the hiring manager after that. And for some reason, we're seeing, not seeing a strong conversion, I would say, after that point.
What industry are you in?
I do a lot of like tech sales.
Uh,
I do some IT like consulting firms.
Okay, because I was in tech for a dozen years, and I think that software product companies are like the worst. I think that so many of them think that they're God's gift to the universe, and it's like we're developing the next AI thing, and they just have they have just an inflated just sense of themselves. And there's a company in Seattle I was working with at the beginning of this year, and not mention their name, but it was the biggest waste of time. And
Mm,
I spoke to the CEO, and I was just like going, dude, you're just a, a dick, for lack of a better word. And it's just like, no thanks, I'm gone. You know, I'm not gonna do it. But I
yeah.
think that software product companies are the worst at that. I worked with them for a dozen years, and it's like I got on there just because, like, I don't like a lot of personalities. It's like, no, this person can do the job. This person can do the job. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. No, I totally get what you're saying there. I had spent 7 years in software sales working for LinkedIn. So that's why I had gone down this niche, is because it's just, that's where my network stands from years of being in that space. But yeah, I sometimes I wonder, hey, I'm sure there's different conversion rates for different
You know,
niches or industries that people are working
Joe,
in, and what
Joe,
can I do to improve my conversion?
if I could say something on that, I think one of the things that happens, you know, having been in HR, having been in there, you know, VP of HR, what I noticed was that when you do an interview and you have somebody go in for an interview, you talk to a person you've been talking to, that's fine. You get through hurdle number one. In hurdle number two, what I've seemed to kind of see happening is that you have now these people are like, nobody wants to make a freaking decision. So
Yeah.
what they do is, I'm going to have all five of us interview this person coming in. Okay, so I have the interview, and in the interview, really what should happen but doesn't happen is like, Brent, you're my CFO. I want you to figure out this guy's background in this. Oh, you're my guy in logistics. Figure this out. Buck, you're my guy in operations. Figure this out. R&D over here. And you guys ask them questions specifically to what you know. And here are some sample questions that I want you to find out for me, because I don't know logistics. I don't know finance. I don't know shit. But I want you to tell me. But what happens is people are not trained to interview. And people think that when I interview, I've got to find a reason to not hire you. And so therefore, I'm going to be the grand guy that's going to say, this is what's wrong with Brent. This is what's wrong with Joe. And they're not going to fit on the team. And, you know, what is fitting on the team? The other thing that I see people doing now is they have their subordinates interviewing them. And like, really, what the freak, you know, that's, and really what it should be like two people. The person, the HR person, the person that's going to hire them, and maybe the president of the company, and get it over with. Hire the sucker. But they don't do that, and that's why we get what we get. But when you have 5, 6 interviews, and then someone's saying, I need to interview 3 people. Well, hell, if you knew what you wanted and you knew what was needed,
Yes.
if you get the first guy, you should just hire the sucker right there. But
Yeah.
you don't, because you want 3 people, you want
know-
4 people, and there ain't no freaking 4 people that can hit 400 or, you know, make 40 points a night, and that's what you want. Or they all got to be within a certain logistics, like with, I don't want to reload. Okay, well, there's nobody that lives in your freaking town, and there's only another factory there, and you don't want me to hire from that factory or go recruit from that factory, so what the hell? So they create their own thing, and so that is my 2 cents with what they're doing. They screw up.
You're spot on, Ernie. I'm seeing the same thing. I'm hearing it from all these high level people that it's like they just put me through the ringer in 5, 7 interviews, only to tell them that you're missing one thing. What I'm telling a lot of my candidates is this, especially the high level ones, is be careful on how much information you give, because they're trying to extract you. Like, you can give a presentation, or what would you do to the sales org? and now they're just extracting the data from you. So I always tell them, be careful. And I get it though, because a lot of candidates are coming to me, they're desperate. They were making 250K a year, and now what? Right? So now they're just trying to get a job anywhere, and I feel bad for a lot of them, man. Like, you should hear the calls I have. I report them all. Like, super high level people is struggling to find roles right now.
You know, and
Yeah.
I think part of that is me. So I worked in industry for about 20 years, S&B space. So I was actually part of that interviewing with the owners of the companies, the CEOs, CFOs, the controllers. I was in there. And when they came in, Ernie hit the nail on the head. They look for reasons why not to hire them. I don't know why they think that. I don't know why whoever came up with that idea, it's the wrong idea. It is 100% wrong. You look at their personality, their growth mindset, what they've done in the past, their achievements, their accomplishments, and then you look at the fact. Don't look at them and say, hey, what, oh yeah, I see there, but they're lacking a little bit of in this area here. They don't have a lot of experience. Oh, well, we're just going to discount them. And it's like,
Yeah.
they think that there's somebody out there that's going to fit the perfect mold, and it's so frustrating, and not only that, turnaround time. Like, you take a job order or a search assignment, and then you say, okay, well, if I send a candidate over you today, would common courtesy, would you follow up within 48 hours? Oh yeah, this is immediate need. I need a CFO tomorrow.
Yeah.
I sent it a week and a half later. I'm pinging them every other day saying, I got a candidate willing to interview for this role. It'd be a great fit, whatever. No response. It's like they ghost you.
Yeah.
And it's like, I know it's a pain. The guy's a real nice guy. He ran a company, grew it to 40 people. He believes in taking care of his people. He doesn't have turnover. In the landscaping business, you would think it would be, right? I mean, I took this as just a side gig close to home, but I don't understand it. The lack of communication. And it's just,
What do you think we could be doing better from our perspective to overcome that, right? Is it better relationship with the hiring managers themselves that are the ones that are actually feeling the pain? Is it like, I'm always thinking about how we can better.
Step number one is, are you willing to walk away? I mean, that's the bottom line. But if you say, well, I only have 3 clients, well, then there are more. And if you really, really think about it, maybe you can go get more clients. Maybe not. Maybe you're freaking out. I don't know. But if you really think I got to deal with this person, then, the problem maybe isn't them, it's you, number one. Number two is, you got to look at the person, your hiring manager, and look at their security. How secure are they? Because hell, if I'm going to hire Domenic, he's not going to be on my team because shit, he's gonna replace me. There's no way I'm going to hire him. The jerk. So I'll get,
again, wrong mindset again. It's like, don't look for ways to not hire him. Look for ways to get someone better than you are. Because guess what? You want the company to grow. If you lose your spot because he takes it over, well, what'd you do wrong? You build an A+ team.
You're spot on, Tim.
So Joe, the other thing is, I ask you, have you ever walked away from a contract, a client? You ever fire them?
Yeah, because there needs to be a threshold where it's not worth your time. Okay, my time is better allocated elsewhere.
Have you ever told them that I'm leaving? We're breaking up, or do you just stop?
No, I'll usually just won't spend the effort with that client.
That's a good thing to do.
Another thing too,
that, just tell them I'm leaving you, and then they're going to say, well, why would you do that? Because I don't get this and I don't get that from you, and I deserve it, and you don't give me.
And to back that up, Ernie, it's like Steve Finkel came out, Real Recruiting. It's like, is that search assignment that you're asking, is it attainable? Can you fill that search? And you may say, I have tons of candidates, but the person that's going to be working with is off the rocker. There's no way I could get a search in here. I'm going to throw 10 candidates to the person. They're not going to, it's going to be a elongated process. Where's my time more valuable? Like I said, the willing to walk away. And sometimes when you don't have the job orders or search assignments, you're like, I got to take it. Believe in yourself, build that confidence. And that's one thing that I've learned being on these business development calls with Dom. It's like, you need to have that level of self-confidence when there's nothing in the pipeline, and you're willing to walk away from it, because I can't work with this. Unfortunately, I'd love to work with your business, but the way this is working, it's, I need feedback right away. I want to know the interview process. It's all that intake call. If they can't provide you with enough details for you to be successful in that search assignment, it's like, give yourself 24 hours to see how many candidates are out there. Like we're looking at some of these jobs, like on the network that I've been using, just trying to help fill some of the pipeline. Is they're like in the middle of town nowhere. They don't want to pay for relocation. It's like they're looking for second to third shift production managers, and you're like, okay, hold on. There's no one. And I don't get it. Again, if you relocate someone, I don't care. 2 states over, doesn't matter. But if this individual moves there, it's not like they're going to leave anytime soon, right? They took an opportunity. You know, they got to move. They're uplifting. They're moving. And relocation costs are nothing. It's a write-off to get a candidate that's got good background, lean manufacturing or whatever, you know, that can add value to the organization. I don't understand why they're always saying we want local, and I'm like, I don't get it. Look for the best person that's going to level your team up, like Ernie said. I'm sorry, I'm on a high horse. I'm all jacked up on coffee right now. So
beautiful. Keep going. No, you're fine. That's why I take that data to the clients, and I'm like, look, in your surrounding area, you have to open up the search because you have 2 production supervisors. Both are at, let's say, Amazon, right? They're paying $50 an hour. You're paying 20. How are we going to get them? Tell me. You know, good luck. So you have to go outside and relocate somebody in.
You know what another thing is that's kind of funny is when you talk about like MPCs and people forget, you know, you try to find a good MPC to present them. And then they say, I don't know if I could place them. I don't know if I could place them. I'm looking, well, it's not your intent to place them. Your intent is to showcase them, to show the quality that you can present when they need something. So now I like the way this Maserati looks. So now I need a Ford. So can you find me the Ford? And they go, yeah, let me find you the Ford. I can do that.
Yeah.
But it's really funny how we lose focus sometimes. And
I think the hard part is you do that intake call. You have a great candidate. You know they're powerful. You know they could do something in some company, right? And then you MPC them, and you're like, I believe in the person. I mean, we got in this business because what? We want to help people out. And for me to throw an MPC not wanting to try to place them at a company, it's tough for me to just kind of say that's not the case. I'm throwing it out there to get the feelers out, and sometimes I'm just straightforward with these individuals. Like, hey, do you mind me throwing? There's 5 different companies in the area. I want to throw your information out. This is all confidential. It doesn't have your name or anything. It just sells your skill set to see if I can get someone to maybe I could get them on the hook to have a conversation. You know, I can't guarantee you, but you know what? I love to do this for you and just be straightforward with them. And it helps me feel better because they're not expecting anything out of it. And then when something does land, I mean, like Dom, you said you placed an MPC. What was it, like a month ago? And you've never placed one in like what? I don't know, ever or like years?
It's a long time, right? We're so focused on the roles that we're working on.
Yeah.
So I've been doing those MPC, and Chris Wessel actually called me on this. So Chris, if you're listening, thank you. You know, I don't know why, but I automatically assume like people are going to know what MPC means. Like some recruiters don't even know what MPC means. So it's like, Don, why don't you switch it up to candidate spotlight? I'm like, Chris, how did I not think of that? Just so dumb, right? So I'm like, candidate spotlight. And then a company reaches out to me, and we placed the guy for $210K. What I'm working on building right now is something that think about all the AI tools that we have right now. Like kind of like you see our photos on the screen right here, everybody. They can go to my site, right? MPCs. They can kind of see the highlights of the candidate. And then if they want to move forward with that candidate,
we don't see
the agreement.
Are you presenting a screen?
Oh no, I'm just saying like you see on your the call right here.
Yeah.
So, like like on the other side would be like their information. You want to move forward with this candidate. Here's the agreement. I'll send the DocuSign. I'll get an alert. That candidate will be released. So I'm working on that right now. I think if they have a spot to just go in there and be like, okay, I'm looking for general managers in international freight forwarding. Boom, here's the DM page, kind of like we would go do to the search. It's just all right on my page now, so they don't even have to go look. These are people available or passively looking right now. I think that would be huge.
You know, maybe okay, now brainstorming.
I'll tell
here.
you, what if that was it?
Hold on, I'm going to lose this one because I lose stuff quick. Okay, we call them MPCs, right? So then we're saying most placeable candidate, but it's not that. It's like I need a job, so you got to use. I need a JO, so you got to maybe we call them a people JO, you know, PJO or something like that. that changes it so that you don't lose the focus as to why you're presenting this person, presenting just for the hell of it. I don't know.
Well, I see, so like, here's what's happening to me, Ernie, right? Like right now, we have all these job orders. We're a small boutique firm, right? So I'm getting referred. Like today, I talked to the guy at a CEO introduced me to the head of COO of Lithia Automotive Group, one of the biggest, I think they're the biggest automotive group in the world, right? So of course I'm going to take that call, and we ended up having hockey as a connection, right? But like, what can I do with that guy? I shot him over to a recruiter that I know in automotive. So like, I'll start connecting the dots, and that's why I like these calls too. It's like somebody reaches out to me high level, who can I sum to from our group that is in that niche, right? That knows that niche inside and out, that has connections. Like I was talking to, going back to what you said, Ernie, I was talking to Rich Rosen last night at like 6:30, and that's what he was talking about, Joe, firing clients. He was firing clients, but like right now in his space, it's tough for even him, Rich, to get a job order, right? So he's like, Dom, sometimes I'll go and give these guys away for free to like a private equity or a VC. Just show them the value, right? Like just help them out. So yeah, it's gonna burn when you know that's a $60,000 placement you just gave away for free. But hopefully, I haven't done that yet, but actually I probably have. I probably said, hey, this guy's available just to help them out. So I just don't know about it. But yeah, I guarantee you that.
But it just depends on, sometimes you talk to somebody and you really like them and you really want to help them. And there are other times you get a resume that they need help, but you look at that resume and it's 1 year, 1 year, 1 year, 1 year, 6 months.
I tell them.
I don't think so, and you're like, I don't know, man, you're a tough one. And
I know. And how do you tell them in a nice way though?
Well,
That's my problem.
I had that yesterday where somebody just, hey, Ern, how you doing, bro? Hey, can you find me a job? And I see 1 year, 1 year, 1 year. And you're a production supervisor, bro. He goes, what are you like? You want to tell him what the hell you've been doing? That's how do you go through this stuff? He goes, oh, downsizing. Yeah, this shit bullshit. It's not all downsizing every plant. You're the only one. But maybe that's a better way of saying that. Instead of you got fired, I got downsized. And then the classic line that they'll give you is, we had a mutual agreement that I would leave. Yeah, bro.
Yeah.
Okay, bro.
You know what though, Arnie? Is AKF the team on this call right now? No, he's working. He just placed a guy that kind of hit the job hopping on there, but he came referred to me by a CEO that I know. And we would have never probably called this guy unless that CEO referred me. And they were actually valid reasons of what happened. And the way it showed on his resume, it was a private equity firm and they were just buying companies. So it looks like he was changing jobs. So I told him, like, first off, you got to change that resume, because when you go through an ATS system, you're screwed. You just got to put one, like you ever see guys that are doing like this, like putting the years that were at the company and then each job. I'm like, that's hurting you anytime you pass through. Just put 1 year. If you were there for 2016 to 2022, don't put like, oh, I was a BDR from 2016 to 2017, and then that's hurting them.
Well, the other thing you can do is you have them write a supplemental explaining why each job is, or they put that reason within the resume, from February to January, and what happened when the company got sold.
This is what I learned this is what I learned from Ernie, and I think it's spot on. Like, part of the intake call for a candidate, it's like, you have 5 different roles in the last 10 years. I want you to do me a favor, do an exercise, and I want you to put down a reason why you left each organization. And the reason why I want you to start thinking about, because this is going to be asked on the interview questions. When they ask you, if someone doesn't ask that in an interview, again, do they ever interviewed anybody before? Because you have that call with somebody and you're like, I would never call this person. He's bounced around. And then you realize they're all contract roles for 6 months to a year and a half. In manufacturing, well, why didn't you put contract in there? oh, I didn't think I needed to do that. I'm like, well, that right there is telling you you got a lot of different experiences in quality. You've worked for 5 different locations in the food industry, very important. You know, you specifically, these were dairy manufacturing companies. So you have that experience. You put contract work in there. That's kind of one of those things that's an okay. They'll look at it a little different. Now, it all depends on company wise, but still,
in the old
level up.
days, people would stay with companies forever. You know, your dad or whatever stayed with a company for like 20 years. And wonders why in the hell you jump around every 2 years. But anyway, I remember guys, I'm talking to them, and they'd look at a resume and he goes, oh, he got let go from this company. He got downsized. Well, there must have been a reason why that he got downsized. So, you know, that's not good enough. They probably fired him because he didn't get downsized. Okay. And then we do a downsizing, and I have to tell this guy, we won't let you go. There was some pleasure in that for me to say that. And then after a while, that attitude changed. Like, well, you know, there always is a reason for downsizing. And it wasn't because I didn't know my job. And that's true. But the attitude now is when you look at resumes, it's like 2 to 3 years, and then you're gone. And I tell people too that when you get into manufacturing or you get into certain industries, you become a migrant worker. You go, what do you mean by that? He goes, as you grow up in the industry, you move, and you're moving constantly to make more money, to get more opportunity. And if you don't believe me, look at your current company and ask how many of those people are from the same town. And they go, well, nobody. I go, and that's what you're expected to do. So when you tell me you want to stay in Visalia, California, with a population of 150,000, you're limited in your opportunities, and you got to get out of there.
Yeah.
So, sometimes I like to, like, when there's someone who is job hoppy and I really want to dig in, or I don't like their surface level reasoning of, like you're saying, Ernie, oh, is it downsizing? Like, really to peel back the layers of the onion and get to the core issue. I'll sometimes just say, I totally get that, but like, when I present you to my client, they're going to ask me for details about this, and I want to represent you in the right way possible. So they're going to ask me, what does that mean? What can you share with me on that front in terms of downsizing? Like, can you elaborate? Like, because that's when you start to really, oh, you know what? I was on a performance improvement plan, but you know, that's where the truth starts to come out.
And that's when they got to say, yeah, there was me and 12 other people got let go, and that's me, or they shut down the plant, you know, and you can go with that, or we lost a big contract, we lost Walmart, you know, and that's what happened.
Yeah.
And those are the stories that you can do and you can tell. But if they can't do that, but if they come up with, you know, it was a mutual decision.
Yeah.
The decision was you were gone. The decision you made was that you walked out the door and they didn't have to call the cops, you know. So I always love that. But and people are kind of an interesting bunch when you start really getting to know them. You'll and then after you keep talking to them and you get them to laugh, once you get them to laugh, they're going to tell you everything.
Yes.
You got to get them to laugh. You got to crack up some joke. Like, my favorite one is always, well, my wife doesn't want to move. I said, well, did your wife say she didn't want you to move? And he starts laughing. Well, no, she didn't say that. I go, then we'll find you another family. Don't worry about it, man. Everybody does that. So.
Yeah, I think self-deprecating humor especially like really breaks down some barriers and gets people sharing stuff that maybe they didn't feel comfortable sharing before. Totally with you on that, Ernie.
Looking at those babies, yeah, you're right. You're right. and humor is the key. But even if you look at like the master himself, like if you talk about Rich Rosen, every goddamn time he's laughing, he's never stops laughing.
Yeah.
And that's what makes it easy for people. And if you can talk to them, and then the other thing is you kind of share stuff that you've done with yourself, how you lived, and you figure out what that relationship is. You know, you're talking to somebody, you say, yeah, I remember doing that, or this and that. Yeah, I grew up in that same environment, or yeah, whatever. Yeah, my dad and mom got a divorce when I was 12, too.
Yeah. You know what? You're right, Ernie. I talked to Rich for about an hour and a half. I maybe got 2 words in it, and I talk a lot too, right? But he was laughing the whole time. Everything he said, it was a joke. But
It's,
I love
it's,
Rich.
it's a combination of laughing. It's a combination of giving information. And
Yeah.
it's a combination of having that energy. Because you never talk to a Rich Rosen without him going, "Hey, how you doing? What's going on?" And you got to talk that way. And it's kind of funny, but then the other thing too, I think, is you got to get over the fear of talking to the head boss or whoever they think they are. I'm the director of operations. I'm the VP of operations. But then you break it down. You were the VP of operations yesterday, but now you don't have a job, so your salary is zero. So you ain't nobody. But the other thing with that is sometimes if you're doing well, you may figure out, I'm making more money than most of the people I'm talking to. And they're directors and they're vice presidents and they seem to know what they're doing. But you break it down to reality and say, you know what? No. Or you even say, even if I'm not making enough money, I have more freedom than you. Because when you work in corporations, you sell your soul. The more money you make, the more you sell your soul. Your kids will tell you, you know what? I don't even see you, Dad. I don't even know you. And
100%.
that's the reality of it. So we're in a nice situation. And if you tell them, hey, I want to go golfing, I'll go golfing right now. And because I say so and because I can. I remember when I was in the VP of HR, we'd do a placement, the guy would make 50,000 and he goes, "Ernie, I'm going to take you out golfing. Can you go golfing? Let's go right now." I can't, bro. I got to work. I got a stupid ass safety meeting in a few minutes and I can't go golfing and drinking with you. So you realize you just sold your soul. So that's the price you pay. And that's why we do what we do, because we don't want our soul to be sold.
You're 100% right. The guy I talked to this morning, he's like, "Dom, I need to get back to Florida, traveling too much and don't see my kids." I don't blame you.
No,
He makes 500K a year, but at what cost?
yeah,
And then you can hear my kids in the background.
yeah, that's the beauty of it. They're there, and I can tell you because my kids are already they're 40 years old, 30 years old, and I a lot of you guys I know just have the little ones growing, but I just got off the phone with my daughter for an hour, and she says, we're talking all the time, Dad, and she's in Portland, Oregon, and I'm here in Chicago. My son's in New York. I talk to him all the time, every day. And I kind of like look at that and say, that's what you do. That's what happens. But we were talking about how you could never make a career move, but you stay in the hometown. And then you say, well, yeah, but I got my family here. But the reality of it is half your family is screwed up. And the other half, do you really know them? Like, do you really know your parents? Do you talk to them? And I'm not saying that in terms of like I guess this is more switching off to family for you guys though. But as you have your kids, you can be the parent, but you can also be somebody that they say, "I want to go have a cup of coffee with you, Dad. Let's go." And that's what you want. And the fact that you can. I had this friend that I learned that from him watching. He was my mentor in terms of being a parent. And they weren't rich. They weren't but he had this way with his kids that he was a father and he knew when to turn that on. And he was their friend that would sit and have dinner with each other as if you would go have dinner with your friends. So I will tell you this one other thing when it comes to mentoring, and I'm taking up the show and I apologize. But when you have mentors, don't have one person that you're mentoring. Have the guy who you see their marriage and you say, you know what, I want a marriage like that. You see a guy that raising their kids, I want to learn how to do that. You see somebody that has finances, well, that's a different person because he's probably been divorced like 12 times. But they're all different types of people with different backgrounds, but you learn from all of them. And then remember one other thing. With kids, you can only do one thing, and that one thing is you can only give them memories. Whether you give them good memories or bad memories is up to you. So, and how you treat your spouse is how they will learn and accept to be treated. So if you're yelling and screaming at your spouse, you can guarantee that their household in the future is going to have screaming and hollering. So you got to kind of figure that out for them. And that's like my kids have never seen us scream at each other. And my wife and I, and they said, we don't do that. You know, she was with a guy and she says, well, shall I just leave? She goes, why are you going? This is your house. She goes, we don't do that in our family. Your parents are divorced, but we don't do that. So, you know, sit your ass down. We're going to work this out. So, you know, it's just, and that's what you do. Or try to do at least. I don't know. So I apologize for my going off on non-recruiter stuff, but that's.
It isn't, Ernie.
That's
It's all
amazing
about that.
wisdom. It's amazing wisdom you just gave right there.
Yeah. I mean, I look at Dom right now. He's going to do call blitz with his kids here just after this call, right? You can do a little 45-minute call block period, huh?
I'm ready to lose. I'm ready to lose it on them. They're running through the house and making a mess.
Oh, God. Well, at least you don't have an 11-year-old daughter that wants you to watch her shows and her friend. They're doing dance shows now, and they're like, Dad, can you watch our dance show? It's 5 songs long. And I'm like, I don't have 45 minutes. But you know what? I got 10.
You know, I would tell you the one thing that I would tell you to do too is like your kids get older, is when you hit, what you're going to do is you're going to have them until they're 12. From 12 to when they turn teenager and they go through about 21, they're going to be the kids from hell, and they're not going to need you anymore. And they're going to talk to you. You can drive them around, but they're not going to talk to you. But what you do when they're around 12, you just stick them in the car and you drive around with them. You buy soda, you give them some chips or whatever, and you just drive around. At that point, they will be looking out the window, and they will say, Dad, have you ever done drugs? Dad, Mom, have you ever did this? When was the first time you had sex? And they say, I have a friend who had this and that. And they're really asking you questions. But my theory is, once they get into the house and once the garage door opens, it ends. So the reality of it is, I think because they're looking out the window and don't have to look at you in the face, they will ask you questions that you're just surprised that they're even asking you. And you know, it's like, and it's some weird stuff that they're going through and that they're doing, you know, like.
Well, you know, another thing Ernie said was about the people that you're around. You know, like there's different people. So build an ecosystem. You always want to level up. I don't know how many philosophers and all that about professional development. It's like surround yourself with people you want to be one day. You know, there's so many times Dom's like, oh my God, I just talked to the CEO. I have a call with them, you know, once a week or once a month, and it's awesome. So surround yourself with people that's going to bring you up, instead of keep you where you're at or stagnant. When I was younger, in my 20s, I hung around with guys that were going nowhere. We just hang out and not do anything. I was wondering why I didn't do anything in my 20s. You know, living paycheck to paycheck, having a good old time and not really advancing the bar. But like as you get older, you get wiser, right? So if you can, look at the fact that surround yourself with people that have the same type of goals and aspirations you want. Financially, agency growth, you know, intelligent development. Like I tell you, with just talking with Dom about AI, like he's just like Tim. You gotta earn it, you gotta learn it, because it's gonna help you so much. So like if you can, you know, right now he's got me on N8N and a couple of these other platforms to learn. You know, so it's actually, I love it. You know, it's taking me a different direction I want to go. So
I guess the show is dying pretty much, or ready to go.
yeah, I think it's about 11:52 here, but
okay, well, we better. Buck,
Yeah.
you doing all right? How you doing?
I'm actually doing good, man. I signed a really big client. I've got final interview tomorrow. I'm starting with RecStack next. I have not been doing any biz dev this week or last week because I'm starting with RecStack and we're getting all that shit ready to go. So I'll keep you guys posted on how that goes. It's so far there's been a lot of I don't know, aches and pains getting that sorted out. Like my niche is not super straightforward. So I think that we're just they're trying to wrap their heads around it, and there's a lot of like back and forth. But yeah, man, things are really good on my end. Thanks for asking.
Good. Cool. All right. Well, I got to get going. Let you guys go. Brent, you came back.
Yes.
Everybody seems to have left, but we thought we.
So people were done listening to me talk. Yeah. Now it's called the kids' school.
Okay. You're kind of muffled now.
Am I really?
Yeah.
Oh shit. Good to know. Have I been muffled this whole time?
Yes.
Like
Unless
even earlier?
unless that's the way you're talking now. You know.
Well, I've been drinking this morning, so it might just be my slur. Shit, good to know. Thank you for that.
You're welcome. You're welcome. So good. Anyway, anything else anybody want to talk about? Got anything else going on?
Not
No?
that I can think of.
All right.
Yes.
Then we shall leave.
All right. We'll see you.
We'll see you guys. Bye.
Yeah.